Olivia Smith.
Present.
Hagenbook.
Present.
Casemiro.
Present.
Callis. Cabanos.
Present.
Savika. Jane.
Present.
Sherman.
Present.
Danath.
Present.
Ali. Belilehi. Hamid.
Present.
Kaufman. Licht.
Present.
Gentile.
Present.
Rose.
Present.
El Haq. Fawcett. Riggett. Phillips. Escobar.
Present.
Magadia.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Wanjan. Hasanain. Wynn.
Present.
Habgood. Bonaventure. Perez.
Present.
Alcura.
Present.
Benesh. Candeloro.
Present.
Courts.
Present.
Jones.
Present.
Leon. Matthews.
Present.
McRae.
Present.
Nursimedebra.
Present.
Randa. Leiva Gonzalez. Simmons.
Present.
Tatarescu.
Present.
Varela.
Present.
Zivin. Lipner.
Present.
34 to 49.
All right, everyone take a look at last meeting's minutes. Is there a motion to approve last meeting's minutes? And then everyone take a look at today's agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda? Okay. Senator Belhulehi.
Present voting.
Senator Belhulehi, President voting so noted at 7:07 p.m. Open forum. Is there anybody here to speak in open forum? Seeing none, announcements from the student body president, President Blanco.
We're on now. Good evening, everyone. This week, I had my last Board of Trustees meeting, and I wanted to brief you all on an exciting vote. The UCF Board of Trustees recently approved the creation of an athletic strategic investment fund, which allows the university to allocate up to $22.5 million in auxiliary funds toward one-time investments in athletics. This funding does not come from tuition or academic budgets, and this decision follows a new state policy that temporarily allows universities to use these funds to remain competitive as college athletics shifts toward revenue sharing with student athletes. And this was approved by the Board of Governors, if you're curious. The university has emphasized that these are strategic, non-recurring investments intended to generate long-term revenue and strengthen UCF's position in the Big 12, not to cover ongoing expenses. This is a time-limited approach with the expectation that reliance on these funds will phase out by 2028. And they also have to report to the Board of Governors how this fund is not going to leave athletics reliant on this moving from an auxiliary fund. So we know that our athletics is in good financial shape. Okay, moving on from that, exciting news for my College of Business senators and really UCF as a whole. Yesterday, the Board of Trustees approved a historic $50 million gift to the College of Business in name of Barry S. Miller. This is the largest donation in university history, and part of this, the college will be named as such. This investment will support expanded programs in areas like AI, fintech, and technology leadership, along with supporting new faculty positions and benefiting our faculty wages over in the College of Business for stronger industry partnerships. So overall, this is really exciting as it positions UCF to be a preeminent location for business education and be a leader in modern tech-driven business education. This will create a lot more opportunities for students in our high-demand career fields. Lastly, yesterday I had the opportunity to confer all of our spring degrees at the meeting, which was an incredibly special moment. So being able to represent our student body and celebrate our graduates in that space was something I was truly grateful for, and the support of the other trustees. So to all of my graduates, I'm so beyond proud of us, and I cannot wait to see what we accomplish next. I hope you all had a great week and preparing for finals are going well. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any feedback for myself, cabinet, etc., please let me know. Reach out to me via Teams, my number, email, as I work to transition our team and work with President-elect Vicaria. That's it.
Any questions for the student body president? These are cleaners.
I just want to confirm that these funds in the auxiliary fund for the athletics program come straight from the state. Is that true? Or where are those funds coming from?
So essentially, I can talk to you about this separately and explain it in depth, but at a super high level, auxiliaries are activity and service fee, housing, parking, all that good stuff. None of that money comes from our existing auxiliaries. It's generally just interest that we have earned from those different areas. So it's not like we're taking student dollars directly and putting it towards athletics. The university chief of staff, Mike Kilbride, did a deep dive in our auxiliaries and was able to identify that we had this money laying around. We were able to take that, put it towards the strategic fund. It'll then go to the athletic association board that we have on campus. They will then decide what we want to do with that money. I don't know if that answers your question.
Do you have a follow-up?
No.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions for the student body president? Seeing none, thank you.
Jamie, I can give you like the language.
Announcements from the student body vice president, Vice President Benitez.
Alrighty, everyone. Good evening, Senate. This week I began my transition meetings with Vice President-elect Jones, and I'll be doing a couple more as we wrap up the semester. Tomorrow I'll be supporting Academic Affairs Coordinator Vicario with her TEDx initiative that she presented to me and Lucy. So very glad that she is able to bring that to fruition. If you do plan on attending, please make sure to RSVP, as we are only allowed to seat 100 students per the TEDx contract that we have with them. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Any questions for the student body vice president, Teacher Pinos?
Where might we find that RSVP link?
It's on Night Connect. It should be under like TEDx UCF, and that's where the link is. And it's also on our Instagram story and a link if you just want to click it from there.
Any other questions for the student body vice president? Seeing none, thank you.
Perfect.
Comptroller's report, Comptroller Drinkwater.
Good evening. I hope you're all doing well. The current CRT balance is $1,172.27 with a reversion rate of 3.71%. The FAO balance is $2,343.17 with a reversion rate of 2.59%. Tomorrow, I will also be supporting Academic Affairs Coordinator Vicario with her TEDx initiative. And please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions for the comptroller? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney General's report, AG Altino.
Good evening, Senate. This week I've been working on updating statutes and our governing documents, finalizing my transition binder, which will be submitted on Monday, and meeting with many individuals interested in various cabinet positions. I also prepared Trustee Blanco for her last Board of Trustees meeting, so I'm proud of the work that she's done in the capacity this year. And she actually, like she said earlier, conferred all of the degrees, including my own, which was crazy. But today I had the privilege of supporting our athletics coordinator, Jones, in the spring football practice where we got to meet with Coach Frost, which was really cool. And then I also gave a LinkedIn workshop at our last ELC meeting with Chief of Staff and Communications Pearson. And then FYI, even though I know next week is our last meeting, according to statutes, I will be working until the new Attorney General is confirmed in the 58th session. So if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out for returning senators.
Any questions for the Attorney General? Seeing none.
And then for Coordinator Vicaria, she says, hello, Senate. I hope you had an eventful week. Tomorrow is TEDx UCF, so I'm finalizing all last minute details to make sure the show runs smoothly. If you are all interested in attending as a guest, be sure to RSVP on Night Connect. I am also looking forward to midnight breakfast on the 28th and coffee break on the 27th. So be sure to look for updates regarding these upcoming events. Thank you.
Okay, any questions that the Attorney General can answer? Seeing none, thank you.
See you all at TEDx.
Announcement from the Chief of Staff Pearson.
Alrighty, I'm over here, guys. Hey. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming out to Passing of the Gavel. I'm so grateful we could all celebrate this big accomplished year. As we wrap up the semester, I'll be working on my transition binder in 3 different capacities and continuing to support our final events like Cram for the Exam and Pause and Reflect. Shout out to our Black and Gold winners from our Executive Leadership Council, Amy Hohalter and Eliani Alvarez. They did an amazing job planning their events, so make sure to come out to support them April 23rd. Yes, that's the event. And I'm looking forward to ending the semester strong.
Any questions for the Chief of Staff? Senator Hassanein,
President voting.
Senator El-Harrak,
President voting.
Senator El-Harrak, and Senator Hassanein, President voting, so noted at 7:15 p.m. Any questions for the Chief of Staff? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the Chief Justice given by Internal Assistant Chief Justice Hoffman.
Hi, Senate. I would like to thank everyone who came out to the Drench the Bench event we had last Friday. It was a massive success and a lot of fun for our justices and the students that stopped by. Huge shout out to External Assistant Chief Justice Bill Derez and Associate Justice Toki for their hard work on this event. The judicial branch's final outreach event will be our Blossoms of the Bench event. Next week during Market Wednesday from 12 to 2 p.m., we will be giving out flowers with encouraging messages and our business cards attached as we head into final season. The branch's committees have begun to wrap up, and we will be having our final general council meeting next Wednesday, where we'll be seeing our final business for the year. And lastly, Chief Justice Pizarro will be returning to the office next week, so if you need anything from her, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Any questions that the internal assistant chief justice can answer? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from the supervisor of elections given by assistant supervisor of elections Callaway.
Hello, everyone. As you know, Supervisor Collazo is not here today, so I'm here to give his announcements. Currently, we have a few updates. The ARP will be finalizing reviews next Monday, so we will be also hosting our Election Commission banquet that exact same day. Applications for EC will open May 1st and close on May 15th. And then lastly, pending the ERP, I will be serving as interim supervisor of elections for a 30-day period until the first meeting of the new commission is called. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions for the assistant supervisor of elections? Seeing none, thank you. Announcements from scholarship committee chair. She is not here, so it says, hello Senate, not too much from me in regard to scholarship committee. There are a few leftover funds, approximately $15,000, which will be rolled over until the next fiscal year. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please reach out to that email, caucus reports, Arab Caucus, Chair Okuda.
Hello, Senate. Not too much for me today. Our last meeting is going to be next Friday, where we'll be discussing future plans for the caucus.
Any questions for the Arab Caucus chair? Seeing none. APIA Caucus, Chair Bill Derez is not here, so it says we are finalizing Vice Chair Wynn.
Hi, we are finalizing our merch design, and our last meeting will be next week, Wednesday, April 2nd at 4:30 p.m.
Any questions for the APIA Caucus Vice Chair? Seeing none, Black Caucus Chair Smith.
Hi, Senate. So in caucus this week, we spoke about transitions and new possible logos for the Black Caucus. We will also be having our Black Caucus Women in Leadership panel on April 21st in the Charge On Chamber from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And we would love to see you all come out and engage. Thank you.
Any questions for the Black Caucus Chair? Seeing none, ICTC Chair Burla.
Hello, everybody. We met yesterday and we had a great conversation with a representative from Downtown Life, Downtown Student Life, about our idea for a downtown RSO council. And our last meeting of the semester, end of the year, will be next week.
All right, any questions for the ICTC Chair? Seeing none, Sustainability Caucus Chair Lufner.
Hi, everyone. We have a couple events planned for next week. We are not meeting anymore because of a couple different things, but first up, we have Earth Day on the 22nd. Please come on out to the Arboretum Park to explore our natural lands and get a free sweatshirt sponsored by SWI Coordinator Hendricks. And then additionally, we're partnering with the Arboretum to host a swap shop event on the 23rd and 24th. You can bring clothing and other office supplies that you are not going to be using anymore that are still like new, and then get other office supplies or school or clothing that you want that is still like new. So come on out and support. There will also be plant sales at both the Earth Day and swap shop events.
Any questions for the Sustainability Caucus Chair? Seeing none, and apologies, I accidentally skipped over Latin Hispanic Caucus. So I'm just going to give that announcement. It says, hi, everyone. Our caucus is holding takeover event on Tuesday from 10 to 2 p.m. Please feel free to stop by. Go nice, Charge On. If you have any questions, please reach out to that email. Announcements from the Senate President. Okay, so that was for Senate Exec, but their transition binders are due next week. We are making sure to get those done efficiently. I included the links to sign up for the bill writing showcase that the SLCers are having next week at 6 before Senate, as well as a link to fill out for the Senate banquet. That will be 7 p.m. next Friday. And so if you have not filled those out, fill them out right now. We're going to take like 2 minutes to do that. So fill it out. And if you're not going to the Senate banquet, just don't fill out that form. Okay, I'll take that as enough time. ELA report, ELA read.
Hi, everyone. So kind of going off of what Speaker Court was saying about the Bill Writing Showcase, please go if you have the chance to. The associates have been working so hard on their bills, and it's a great opportunity to kind of see what they've learned and what they've worked on this year, as well as getting a chance to also meet those who are going to be a part of the session next year if you're returning or if you're leaving. It's just a great way to get to know everyone and see all the work that they've done, because it's truly, this has been such a phenomenal group of individuals. So I'm really excited to see all that they do, and I hope you are too. But this week and next week, I'm finishing up the last Dean meetings of the session. Today we had the Honors College, and then Monday will be CCIEs. Unfortunately, not every college got to have their Dean meeting this semester. For some, I just didn't hear back from the office, unfortunately. But if you did not get the chance to, please schedule one-on-ones with your deans through the dean's office. If you need those contact information, I'm more than happy to help you. But don't let, just the dean meetings be the chance you have to talk to the office. You all have the availability and the chance to. Additionally, if you wish to shadow me or talk about the ELA role with me, please reach out.
Any questions for the ELA? Seeing none, Senate President Pro Tempore report, Pro Tempore meeting.
Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great day. Happy second to last meeting. So I'm finishing up the materials that I'm making for Senate orientation on Saturday. I hope everyone who attends that likes what I'm making. I'm also finishing up my transition binder. And as of yesterday, the Pro Tem's office will no longer be accepting any legislation. Yesterday was the deadline for proclamations. So what we have on the agenda is all we have left. Yay. Also, there's a lot of legislation on the agenda. I said this last week, and I'll say it again. Make sure that you're reading it while we're seeing it, or make sure that you read it ahead of time. I hope you guys did. But just make sure that there's no errors when we were passing it. Also, lastly, finish the session off strong. We only have a week left, so make sure that it matters. Tie up any loose ends that you guys need. And yeah, that's all for me.
Any questions for the Pro Tempore? Seeing none, D-Leg report given by Pro Tempore.
Okay. Loki, my computer isn't loading, but that's okay. Yes. Wait, no, can I read it from the computer? Okay, thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry again for not being there this week. Thank you to whoever is reading this. Thank you, Ryan, for the thank you. As I'm about to shamelessly plug my show that I have been working on nonstop for 4 months. As I'm sure you all are aware, I'm currently the production manager for Pineapple Theater's The SpongeBob Musical, and our show is performing this weekend, tomorrow night at 7 p.m., Saturday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. in the Darden Auditorium at the Rosen campus. This is also a student government-funded event, so tickets are free to all UCF students. Here is a link tree to choose what day you want tickets for. And there's a link. With proclamations being due yesterday, all legislation submissions are closed for the session. There's a lot of bills being seen tonight, so please make sure you're reading the entire thing before voting on it. As always, if anyone has any questions during tonight, I'll be available, so let me know. Tonight's legislation, there are 2 proclamations on first reading, nothing on third reading, and 9 internal bills, 3 resolutions, and 1 proclamation on second reading.
Any questions that the Pro Tempore can answer? Seeing none, DSER report, DSER continues.
Good evening, Senate. I hope everyone's having a good day. This is our second to last meeting, so I just have a couple quick reminders. For the RSO emails, there'll be one more template sent out in the Teams channel over the weekend that I'm hoping to get to all the RSOs before we enter our annual summer recess in between sessions to make sure that the RSOs are aware of all the changes in the representation that they might be undergoing. So I'll be sure to send out a template for that. And then for our IM leagues, we moved on to the second round of playoffs. This is actually the semifinals. That's going to be on April 21st at 7:30 p.m. So if you guys would want to come out and show support, I highly encourage you to do so. And then make sure that everyone has this on their calendars. It's our last Senate bonding event of the session. So it's going to be on Saturday, and it's April 25th, and it's going to be a beach day. There will also be a form sent out about which beach we want to go to and everything else. But it is after our last meeting for this session. So I want you guys to put that on your calendars just so you have an idea. That's also the day after banquet, I believe, Senate banquet. So it'll be a lot of fun. And annually we do it after every semester and everything like that. So it'll be really, really exciting.
Any questions for the DSER? Seeing none, fiscal committee reports, CRT committee, Chair Sherman.
Hi, everyone. This week in CRT, we approved allocations 57, 483, and 488. Next week, we're going to be seeing a few more allocations just to give out as much funding as possible, and we'll also be reflecting on the session.
Any questions for the CRT committee chair? Seeing none, FAO Committee Chair Lush.
Hello, everyone. Today in committee, we amended and reapproved allocation 57-192, and next week we will reflect on the session as it will be our last meeting.
Any questions for the FAO Committee Chair? Seeing none, ORS Committee Chair Rose.
Last Friday, we approved one VPF and saw one bill on first reading. There will be no ORS tomorrow due to the orientation.
Any questions for the ORS Committee Chair? Seeing none, Internal Committee reports, ENA Committee Chair Lipner.
We met this week to approve internal bills 5740, 5741, 5742, and 5743, and we'll be meeting next week to oversee and approve the election rules and procedures being passed by the Election Commission this next Monday. Just for a little bit of info on those measures that are being passed, as far as I am aware, there will be small changes to ensure that the interim supervisor is able to take charge of that position as soon as possible to ensure that the Election Commission doesn't have that downtime that has happened in the past. And then during today's bill hearing, I encourage you all to have both the Supervisor of Elections Memorandum and Title VI open for reference and review, as the Supervisor explains much of the reasoning behind the changes we chose to enact as a committee, and Title VI will give you guys the necessary context that is missing from the bill itself. Thank you.
Any questions for the ENA Committee Chair? Seeing none, GAP Committee Chair Barilla.
Hello, everybody. Today was sadly the last GAP committee meeting of the year, and we just finished up our reflection as well as took a nice committee photo after the meeting. Yeah, that's what we did.
Any questions for the GAP Committee Chair? Seeing none, LJR Committee Chair Gaudio.
Good evening, Senate. During our meeting this week, we saw plenty of bills and resolutions, namely Internal Bill 5738, 39, 45, and 46 all were approved 6-0 to 0. Internal Bill 5747, which I just put the link in for, failed 1-5 to 0. Resolution 5722 and 5723 were approved 6-0 to 0. And many absences. You can read the list yourself. It's a little too late to ask for it now, but for the next session, please do not wait until the last minute to submit absence requests. If you submitted an orientation absence request and do not see it listed on this announcement, it's because you submitted it after the deadline outlined in Senate rules to be seen this week, and it will be seen on Monday. Please make sure you attached suitable documentation, as with the upcoming end of the session, avenues for appealing denied absences will be closed, and orientation absences are being held to the typical standard. I will be sending emails to non-senators regarding this. Consider this your prior notice.
Any questions for the LJR Committee Chair? Seeing none, SBA Committee Chair Todorescu.
Hello. Sorry. Excuse me. Hello, Senate. This week, we mainly reflected on the entire session to see the positives and potential improvements for next session. We also saw two pieces of legislation, Proclamation 5738 and Resolution 5724 passed 10-0, and our last meeting will be next week.
Any questions for the SBA Committee Chair? Seeing none, notice of legislation on first reading, Proclamation 5739 and 5740 remanded to SBA. Notice of legislation on second reading. Is there a motion for speeches, questioning, and debate? Senator Habgood? Senator Habgood, President, voting so noted at 7:29 p.m. Vice Chair Jones?
Motion for 5-10-10.
There's been a motion for a 5-10-10 and a second. Any objections? Hearing none. First, we have Internal Bill 5738, updates to Title 14, General Revisions. Chair Gaudio, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Give me 1 second. My computer just freaked out and closed the agenda. There we go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. So these are somewhat small changes to Title 14 that I'm putting forward just to bring some language in line, as well as a small change to the Caucus Leadership Committee. So the first one is the Caucus Leadership Committee is being changed from being, would be changed from being consisted of both the chairs and the vice chairs to just the chairs. And if the chair cannot make it, the vice chair can show up in their stead. The reasoning behind this is the Caucus Leadership Committee, with the new approved ad hoc caucus, will compose of 22 people. And to all the caucus and committee chairs in the room, you know how difficult it is to schedule a time for all of those people to meet. And if one of those people cannot be present from a caucus, that caucus does not get full representation. They get half their representation. So what this does is it says is if either person can attend, that caucus gets the full representation, and it makes scheduling that much easier. The other change is just to 1404.2, which just takes out the section saying member caucuses get their budgets allocated by the branch heads and supervisor of elections. The ANSF budget bill gave caucuses their own budget line. So that is no longer necessary. I yield my time.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Chair Burlock.
Please correct me if I am wrong, but I think I looked at this a few weeks ago. Isn't the caucus budget line in like the SG budget under like the executive branch?
It was for this fiscal year, for the next year. For this fiscal year, it is its own thing.
Is there a motion for a non-committee member to speak, that being Advisor Sampson? All right, Sampson?
I think you may be correct. I think I pulled up the budget with Shane, and the executive branch just has it as a line now in their budget. I want to say that is true because I don't remember. But somebody else correct me. Shane might have told me the wrong information.
Are you able to give some context?
Yeah, so this was the first year that caucuses got their own budget line that is just for caucuses, but it is still under the executive branch's budget.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Chair Burlock?
Given that, right, that it's under the executive branch's budget, would that then shift the entire burden of funding the caucuses to the executive branch rather than being a joint effort?
The budget line says it is for caucuses. While it's technically under the management of the executive branch, the money it is earmarked specifically for caucuses. It's not like at the discretion of the student body president to not give them that money, and not giving them that money would probably be grounds for impeachment.
Okay. Any other questions? Chair Lipner?
May I direct a question to Assistant Sampson?
You may.
To your knowledge, is it possible for a branch head to move funds from within lines of their own budget?
Unless when they were passing the budget, if it's earmarked for something specific, they cannot do that, right? So like there are some budgets where they'll say like, in some of the language, this is earmarked for office supplies and like we can't move OPS even though it's in that budget line for that thing because it's earmarked for that thing, right? Even if there's extra money in that general area's budget. So if it is earmarked and how it was discussed in the ASF committee meeting that it's for that thing, they can't just take out of it.
And to add to that, if they were to request to do that, it would have to be approved by the student body president and the Senate president. Any other questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Lipner?
Yeah, so I'm kind of mixed on this, but seeing amendments on the page, I'll be much more supportive of it after those are seen. But generally speaking, as Caucus Leadership Committee Chair, I know that it is very difficult to schedule meetings with 20 people and get quorum, especially when we're trying to vote on things that are related to budgets that have to be seen pretty quickly. So I'm in favor of that.
All right, D. Pinos?
Motion to see my amendment.
I do have a question. Did you mark out the executive part because that's no longer part of your amendment?
Yes.
Okay, there has been a motion to see D. Pinos' amendment. Is there a second? In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so hearing this, I just thought that it would be important to have the language in there since we had provided for by each branch head and the supervisor of elections going to the next session, seeing that it's allocated strictly from the ASNF committee. I think that would make sense for that to be in statutes provided by the ASNF committee. And seeing that it is technically underneath executive's budget, even so that they are combined in that way, it's still allocated from ASNF committee. So I don't believe that it doesn't have to be outlined from executive's budget because I think that that's just a grouping in the language. While I do want to stick with Chair Ogadio's point about it being separate lines, I think that that would be necessary language.
Do you?
Yeah, the rest of my time.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Pro Tem Hamid and then Chair Sherman.
Do you think the language you used could possibly be misconstrued in the future of the ANSF committee would give them the money, like the chair and vice chair would be like the ones giving them the money based off how it's written? Do you think that it would ever get interpreted like that?
I don't believe so, only because the previous language was provided by the branch head and the supervisor of elections, which clearly outlines their titles in the authority that they have. I think that if I were to say committee, provided by the ASNF committee, I don't think that it would be misconstrued as referring to just the chair and vice chair of said committee.
All right, Chair Sherman,
Can I direct a question to the Senate President?
you may.
Was any funding that Senate Judicial or Election Commission gave to caucuses this year a part of what executive now has as their budget line? Or would it be expected that exec still puts forward that 2,500 and then Senate Judicial EC contributes on top of that?
I believe with the language that we put into ANSF that it's that $2,000 and it's up to the discretion of the other branch heads and the supervisor of elections to give more. Okay. Any other questions? Chair Rula? Okay. Seeing none, we're now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Lipner?
Yeah, I really am not for the use of the committee word specifically here because of the fact that we still want to allow other branches to provide funds to caucuses if they so choose to. For instance, this year we did get money from the executive branch, which kind of matches how much we got from the ANSF budget this year for next year. However, Senate President Kortz was so generous to give us some extra funding to help give a few more caucuses a little bit more leeway to host some more events. And so I don't think that that would be able to happen if it was limited to just the committee and their discretion of how they can set aside funds. And so for that reason, I think it should just be something a little bit more broad like the budget.
Okay. Chair Gaudio.
The budget was already allocated by the ANSF Budget Committee. It came free with the ANSF budget bill. This is just room for misconstruence. It's weird. We don't say this about anything else in statute. And me personally, if there's contention about where the money's coming from and going for with caucuses, this should not be in Title 14. This should be in Title 8, because Title 8 governs how money can be transferred, where it can be moved between, how the money's distributed. We shouldn't be putting financial authorizations into Title 14. It was okay before because caucuses were in a weird spot where they were kind of reliant from handouts from the other branches. Now they're not. They have their own pot of money. And so for that money to get moved around, that should come from Title 8. So I'm entirely against anything like this.
Right. Chair Rula.
Motion to see my amendment as a friendly, just changing the wording to say provided for by the ASNF committee. Senator Kapanos.
I'll see it as a friendly.
Okay.
Hold. Advisor Sampson.
I'm going to set this precedence for the rest of the amendments we have for tonight. For record keeping purposes, seeing friendlies to amendments shouldn't be a thing, especially with the fact that we'll have an amendment on the floor. Like right now, we're in debate on a current amendment. So at that point, it shouldn't be amended, right? So you can ask Jimmy if he would like to see that as a technical to his, and he can decide how that goes, yay or nay. And then we just see his amendment, right? So for the rest of the night, we see an amendment at a time. You can only amend an amendment once. After that, it's capped out. And then we vote on whatever's there, and then you can input your next one, right? So for the live document, if you see an amendment there and you hear debate and you want to change it, don't yet, hold on to it. We vote on what is seen, and then you can add your amendment after that, right? So you're supposed to only see one change at a time. This one's small, so you could choose to see that as a technical to your amendment, but just for the rest of tonight, since we have so many pieces of legislation, that's how that's supposed to go.
Okay. So no more friendlies. I will see that as a technical to your amendment. Chair Lush.
Will you see my amendment as a technical as well? It's adding an and between A and the S.
Yes. Any other pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. Chair Gaudio,
I motion to recess for 5 minutes.
there's been a motion to recess for 5 minutes.
Second.
In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we will come back at 7:48. I hereby readjourn this meeting. Wait. I hereby reconvene this meeting at 8:06 p.m. And we are still in debate on the amendment that D.C. Capinos had. Okay, guys, no more anything in this chat. Thank you. We're still in debate on this amendment. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Burla.
Move to vote on this amendment.
There's been a motion to vote on this amendment. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures on this amendment.
Point of inquiry. So do we just select the vote? Is there, what is the typing out? Do we have to type anything out, or how is this going to work?
It's just yes, no, or abstain. Okay, with a vote count of 16 to 13 to 1, this amendment passes. We're still in debate on the amendment on the bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate for this bill? Chair Sherman.
Yeah, with the amendment on the bill, I would be in negation of the bill as a whole. The caucus budget is provided for by the NSF committee. It's also provided for, again, by each branch head and supervisor. So if we're going to change it, I would say change it to not specify. But if it is changed to specify, I think it would set a bit of a precedent that branch heads not in exec do not contribute to caucuses, which I think we do not want. So as it stands, I would be in negation of the bill.
Chair Vadio.
I move to amend this bill.
Okay, so you're motioning to see your amendment. Okay, there's been a motion to see Chair Gaudio's amendment. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes.
So previous statements were made regarding that. The new language which has been put in makes it weird, and it kind of takes out the possibility of other branch heads maybe giving money to caucuses if they so desire. And so I'm proposing just chopping that entire section, not changing it, leaving it as is, just changing the composition of the caucus leadership committee, because I disagree with the current wording on the bill, and I would likely oppose it as well, just because of the financial chicanery I can foresee.
So with the strike throughs, because this language already exists in statutes, wouldn't just the strike through like get rid of all the using powers of the committee?
You're right. The intention was to get rid of this from the bill, not to strike through those sections. Excellent catch. Thank you. I move to see my revised amendment.
What is this revised amendment? Okay, there's been a motion to see Chair Gaudio's revised amendment. Is there a second? And a second, any objections? Hearing none, that's 2 minutes.
I have properly formatted my amendment now, where it would just take this off the bill, leave it on Title 14 as is.
Okay, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any periods of debate? Chair Lipner?
Sorry, I had a quick question, if that's all right, to the right of the bill. In terms of 1401.1, are you sure that that's how it is written in our titles? Because as far as I'm aware, it says something completely different.
I raise a point of order. This amendment does not touch 1401.1.
My apologies. I'll rescind my question.
Okay, any other pieces, any pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on this amendment. Okay, with a vote count of 25 to 4-0, this amendment passes. We're still in debate on the bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate on this bill? Chair Barilla.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote. Do you withdraw?
Yes.
Okay, we're still in debate on this bill. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Lipner.
Motion to see my amendments as a block
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner's amendment as block.
and Chair Gaudio's pardon.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner's and Chair Gaudio's amendment as a block. Is there a second? Any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes.
Alrighty, first off, this is changing powers to responsibilities to match other commonalities and definitions in our statutes. We're making this change as well to EC in bills that you'll be seeing later today. Chair Gaudio's amendment changes it from 1401.1 to 1404.1, which is the thing that I caught in our previous amendment. And then finally, we're adding that responsibility to meet at least once a month to discuss initiatives and any ongoing projects in progress, because without that there, they wouldn't have to meet that at that frequency. And I think that's important.
Do you?
Yes, sorry.
We're in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Sherman.
Would this remove the same language from 1404.2 that currently exists? Because if this amendment goes through, if I'm not mistaken, this language would be in statutes twice.
Oh, I just understood what Chair Gaudio did by removing it from our. Yeah, I'll rescind my amendments.
Okay, and okay, I will see that, and then the change that Chair Gaudio made, I will just see that as a technical. Chair Furlow. Yes.
Move to vote on the bill.
There's been a motion to vote on the bill. Do you withdraw?
Yes.
Can we just remove the C from introduced by? I think it's a technical.
The C?
Like there's a letter C in front of introduced by in the top left corner of the bill. Or is it all in mine?
It might just be on yours.
No.
Maybe I just don't see it.
Someone struck it.
Okay, Chair Barilla.
I'm going to let Chair Lipner.
Chair Lipner.
Motion to see my amendment.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner's amendment. Is there a second? All right. There's been a motion and a second. Any objections? Seeing none, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, this is just removing powers because it just talks about the composition. No more powers is mentioned there. I yield.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this amendment? Pro Tem Hamid?
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. In a second, any objections? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this amendment? Chair Lipner?
Motion to approve by general consent.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this amendment is approved by general consent. We're still in debate on the bill. Are there any other pieces of debate on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 27 to 2-0, Internal Bill 5738 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5739, updates to Title V. Chair Varela, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah. In the interest of time, I'll be very short. All this bill does is fix a previous bill I made and makes the language more in line with what we have in the rest of our statutes. I yield.
We're now at a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Chair Lipner?
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in a period of debate. Mr. Capinos?
Everything.
You may.
I think this language makes sense. We've seen it in other places in statutes and with that. Let's vote.
There's been a motion to vote. Second. There's no motion, vote in a second. Any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures on internal bill 5739. With a vote count of 30 to 0, internal bill 5739 passes second reading. Next, we have internal bill 5740, updates to title 6, definition, scopes, and subtitle A. Chair Lipner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Alrighty, good evening, Senate. This is the first of 4 bills updating Title 6, not Title 4. Sorry about that typo. I'm going to be going over the major important things to look at this bill, and then I'll give you guys the rest of my speech time to read over this bill, so that way we don't have to use any more time for reading. So the biggest changes for this bill on subtitle A and the definitions and the scope of the Election Commission are first and foremost that definitions are much more specific and enforceable. Key terms like candidate, declaration of candidacy, endorsement, physical assistance, Senate designated committee, and ticket are rewritten to clearly define when someone becomes an official, what counts as support, and what election bodies actually oversee. Next, endorsement is broadened. It no longer just means formal support and now includes public and intentional expressions of support through words, actions, communications, appearances, or materials that reasonably signal approval of a candidate or a ticket. Next, physical assistance is expanded significantly. It now explicitly includes in-kind support, such as donated materials, services, labor, equipment, or space, and clarifies that these donations have to be reported as such. Next, candidate status is now tied to approval, not just intent. A person becomes a candidate only after submitting a completed candidate application packet during the declaration of candidacy period and receiving Election Commission approval, not before or in any time in between. Next, the Election Commission's role is rewritten to become much more operational and direct. Instead of protecting students' rights in election matters, it now explicitly administers elections, candidate education, election facilitation, and violation adjudication. Next, the scope of the Election Commission is clarified, so the statute now more plainly states that Title VI governs elections, campaign candidacy, procedures, violations, and the Election Commission itself. Next, and finally, next, candidate requirements were also reorganized and expanded. The bill lays out a more structured candidate application packet. It adds clear expectations around informational sessions and requires an individual makeup meeting with an election commissioner if a candidate misses that session's deadline. Next, the deadline for presidential campaign aids list changes. Instead of amendments being allowed until the start of voting, they must now be finalized by 5 p.m. one academic day before voting begins, which tightens the reporting window. Next, expense and physical assistance reporting is modernized, so weekly statements must now be submitted through digitally accessible Election Commission forms rather than just via email or an approved website, which was NightConnect. And finally, financial review procedures are formalized in more detail. So what was once now one paragraph is more broken into a clearer step-by-step process for verifying expense and physical assistance statements, and then also issuing a signed certification from the Supervisor of Elections. That's all from me. I will give you guys the rest of my time to read this bill.
So are you motioning for reading time?
No, I'm just retaining.
Okay, next time, please motion for reading time before your speech. Okay, speech time has elapsed. We are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Senator Hapgood?
Yeah, I understand that a lot of these changes are coming from the memorandum. Is that correct?
Many of them are, however, not all of the memorandum's requests were carried over into bill form.
Any other questions on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Senator Hapgood?
I do understand that this bill makes a lot of changes that the Election Commission probably thought was necessary. However, I do believe I will be in negation purely from the point that it's a lot of words. And I think that it should be in our interests to prioritize readability and accessibility in our statutes, especially ones that are going to directly deal with people who want to be involved in student government. I don't think we should be putting more barriers. And I think some of these are purely redundant. The fact that we have the repetition of candidate application packet, that whole sentence after so many pieces, the whole physical assistance, elaboration, endorsement, I don't think those are necessary. Thank you.
Any other pieces of debate? Disa Capinos, I see that you have an amendment on the page.
I have two. I was wondering if I could see my second amendment on 603.3 as a technical. It adds an S to forms for grammatical change.
Yes, that will be seen as a technical.
And then may I see my
There's
first
a motion
amendment?
to see Disa Capinos' amendment. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have a minute whenever you're ready.
It's just to add or deny. So it gives the EC power to review and approve or deny completed candidate application package, just to be more transparent in the language there, in case, let's say, someone submitted a packet and it had everything and it was completed, but it wasn't verifiable information, then they should have the right to deny that from being approved.
We are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this amendment? Chair Gaudio?
I would like to move for this amendment to be approved by the consent of the body.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, this amendment is approved. We're still in debate on the bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? Disa Capinos?
I agree with the point that the last senator made about the redundancy in physical assistance and endorsement. While I do agree with what this bill is trying to accomplish in making sure that the language is outlined to be more specific, this is one of our statutes that is supposed to be the most readable to the student body, for they interact with it, I believe, more often than our other statutes and titles. So I think that prioritizing parts of this to be more broad in a sense of understandability for those who are not well versed in how the procedures work concerning the election, I would be in negation of the current language on this bill, but looking for possible amendments to make it a little bit more understandable for the general body.
Motion to see Chair Lipner's amendment as technical at the the title.
It'll be seen as technical. Chair Rowland?
Yeah, I definitely understand the idea that a lot of the language is too technical, but I also want to offer up a counterpoint. Not that this language doesn't need to be changed, because some of it is a bit jargony, but I do think there is some merit to elaborating what these mean, what these things mean, because a lot of these definitions are used for election hearings, and we need to be really specific on what that means, right? If there's a student that's on almost like being accused of something and there's a hearing going on, it's really important we know exactly what these words mean, so there's no confusion about what the violation is and if they've done it or not. So I would definitely be in favor of keeping the elaborated definitions. I think having simple definitions, while good for readability, is bad for the Election Commission, because it allows them, or it makes it way more confusing what these things specifically mean. But I would definitely be open to less jargony ways to phrase this, if that's possible.
Chair Gaudio?
So a couple of statements with regards to the technicality of this. That is the point of the statutes. We want to be technical, we want to be precise, because when you have something with as many moving parts as an election, we need to be precise, because there will always be some weird edge case that pops up where we have to be able to have a particular answer. With regards to readability, when you file to become a candidate, the Election Commission is required to give you an informational packet by statutes. In addition to this, all tickets have access to the Attorney General. The election statutes even state the Attorney General, well, I don't know if it still says this. It used to say it. They should be at informational sessions. You have the right to them at the violation hearings. And the role of the Attorney General is to be accessible and to be able to take perhaps the jargon that is necessary and translate it into something understandable. These resources are there, right? Really, these are for us and these are for the Election Commission. With regards to that, how does this apply to the candidates? That's what informational packets are for. That's what the informational session is for. And that's what the Attorney General is for.
Okay, I do believe you guys know how you're going to vote. Is there any other pieces of debate that don't bring up the same points? Chair Lipner.
Yeah, I do want to echo what the previous two people said, but also want to add that just a reminder that these are definitions. So while these are semi-lengthy, these will not be repeated anywhere else in the statute, and were specified to be included here as opposed to somewhere else to ensure that it would be less lengthy when reading through the actual statutes. Thank you.
Chair Todorescu.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote and a second. Any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 23 to 7 to 0, Internal Bill 5740 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5741, updates to Title VI, Subtitle B. Chair Lipner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready. Or did you want a motion for reading time first?
Yeah, I'll motion for a 2-minute reading time.
All right, there's been a motion for 2-minute reading time. Is there a second? In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you guys have 2 minutes. Okay, reading time has elapsed. Chair Lipner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Here are the biggest changes from this bill, and there are some amendments, so bear with me on those as we get to them. First and foremost, presidential voting will be moved to a ranked choice voting system and make sure that all of those statutes match what is actually being done. We are also ensuring that students with multiple majors are restricted to voting under their primary major, a clarification for people with dual majors. Campaigning for presidential tickets is tightened, so only students or specifically authorized tickets may assist in active campaigning, and those active authorized campaigners must also receive an informational packet. Campaign materials now require election commission approval before distribution. Tie procedures are clarified for both Senate and presidential races. Ballot validity is simplified, and the election contingency plan is expanded. Thank you. I yield.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. I will see the change from Title 4 to Title 6 at the top of the subtitle as a technical. Chair Lipner, I see that you have an amendment on your bill. You have 2 minutes. Oh, yeah, go on a motion, sorry.
I'll motion to see the amendment in 604.6.
All right, there's been a motion to see Chair Lipner's amendment in 604.6.
I second that motion.
And a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, this is just removing this from the bill because originally speaking, the tie-breaking procedure was crossed out because the supervisor of elections suggested that it was a copy from 604.3, which is why that is also there, besides a few grammatical changes there. But they are in fact different. I caught this the first time, but I wanted to make sure that it got through so I could ask both the supervisor and, the student government advisor and my vice chair to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. So that's why it's being removed now. And I'll move to see this as motion to approve this by general consent.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, this amendment is approved by general consent. We're still in debate on the bill. Chair Rose.
Motion to see my amendment as a technical. There's an extra space in 604.9B.
604.9B. Yes, that will be seen as a technical. Any other pieces of debate on this bill? Seeing none, Chair Vadio.
I move to vote on this internal bill.
There's been a motion to vote on internal bill 5741. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 27 to 0, internal bill 5741 passes second reading. Next, we have internal bill 5742, updates to Title 6, Subtitle C. Chair Lipner, did you want a motion for the 2 minutes again?
Yes, please. I'll motion for 2 minutes of reading time.
All right, there's been a motion for 2 minutes of reading time.
I second.
In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you guys have 2 minutes. All right, the 2 minutes has elapsed. Chair Lipman, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Alrighty, here are the biggest changes from this bill. So first off, Tier 4 violations have expanded significantly, so that way it is more enumerated as opposed to just being a vague wording. Next, we have repeat and cumulative violations being formally reinforced, where already currently if they get the same type of violations from multiple tiers, those sanctions will stack. And then also if they commit a second violation of the same tier, that punishment escalates. We're moving that to be alongside other statutory language that matches that, so it's more succinct. Next, violation hearing timelines are being tightened, so that way they now have 3 days to schedule a meeting as opposed to 2. So before they had to give 3 business days before scheduling that meeting, and it was within 5 business days, so they only had 2 days to schedule it. Now it's still that 5 business days of timeline, but they can do it as early as 2 business days out, so they have 3 days as opposed to the 2. Looking at the next part, pre-hearing evidence deadlines have become much more structured. So the supervisor must give at least 1 academic day for both sides to compile evidence, and it must be submitted by 11:59 the academic day before the hearing, per a amendment that we'll be seeing. Cross-examination rights are also strengthened. So we changed how this whole cross-examination and hearing process worked, whereas now we are moving away from a judicial hearing style where both candidates are presenting evidence and cross-examining with one another. We are now having the election commission being the director of all questioning, and all questions will go through the election commission to minimize any concern regarding animosity during hearings, and also to ensure that these hearings are true to their mission of being a fact-finding hearing and not necessarily a courtroom debate. Additionally, we're seeing a change in some of our languages to match that moving away from judicial language to more hearing-based language to match the actual needs and requirements and expectations of the election commission. Next, we have recusal rights being stricter and earlier. So now requests to recuse an election commissioner must be submitted at least 2 academic days before, and we're making sure that that stuff has to be, or it all just looks right and notarized, because notary is important and is required for other things. Next, disqualification standards are spelled out more clearly. So we formally explained that in the bill. Next, we have decision notices be standardized through memorandum as opposed to just a hearing or a message being sent to someone. A memorandum is specified now. Contest filing requirements are broadened. No contested candidates may be sworn in, which is especially relevant for a session like this year, where we did have a violation hearing outstanding when election results were announced. Next, appeals language is cleaned up so that way appeals can only be filed by the candidate or ticket found guilty of an election violation, and must be filed no longer within 2 days. We are bringing that, we wanted to, no, I'm sorry, that stays. It's still 2 days, but now we're just clearing up that language. That way it says within as opposed to anything else. That way it's clear. So in plain terms, this is basically just broadening protection for people involved with elections, tightening evidence and hearing deadlines, making stronger cross-examination policies. So that way it's less of a argument and more of an actual hearing. And then also alongside that, more control by the election commission during those hearings. And all in all, this will lead to clear escalation towards disqualification for repeat misconduct and a more neat and tidy election hearing process altogether.
Okay, we're now on a period of questioning. Chair Gaudio.
So under both sections for questioning of the witnesses and evidence, it says, quote, a witness may decline to answer questions posed by another party if the response may reasonably lead to another violation or if otherwise permitted by the election commission. To claim this right would require disclosing that the answer may lead to another violation, and there's no guarantee that the election commission would permit that. Would it not? Do you believe that it may, to sort of protect that against self-incrimination, it being more prudent to specify that responses to a question may not be permitted as future evidence or testimony, or what would justify the current wording over something more like that?
I think I'd be open to other wording. I think that this one simply ensures that the expectancy is that the witnesses still respond to as many questions as possible, so that way the election commission can get the details that they need to make a proper ruling.
Pro Tem Hamid?
Would you be able to delete the note you have next to 608.9 in the document?
Yes.
All right. Are there any other questions on this bill? Chair Rose?
For the questioning thing again, did you mean to have like the exact same language in A and G? Because for one of them you have witnesses shall respond to all questions posed by the election commission, yada yada, and then in the next in G, oh wait, it's in a separate thing, or it's like above it, you know.
I see what you're referring to. I'll need a moment to like resolve it, but I'll get back to it. Thank you.
Pro Tem Hamid?
In 608.4 under tier 4 violations, is there a reason why you don't include if someone is like a witness coming in for a violation hearing, or anyone who is coming in for a violation that isn't a candidate, election commissioner, attorney general, or like a student government agent?
Can you rephrase your question, please? I'm not sure I'm understanding.
Is there a reason you didn't include individuals who are not a part of campaign teams or in any realm of student government who could just be coming in as a witness to a violation hearing under the tier 4 violation of threatening and harassing?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, and I could be wrong here, and I'll defer to the student government advisor regarding this, but I believe election violations can only be given to someone who is a part of an election, and therefore a random individual may not be subject to those violation hearings.
Do you have a follow-up?
I meant if the person who is a candidate is threatening or harassing an individual who is not any of the things listed already.
Oh yeah, that definitely could be added. Thank you for catching that.
All right. Any other questions? Senator Hupted?
I think this is just a formatting thing that's tripping, maybe it's just me up. But in 608.21, it says like rights of the accused. Oh, wait. I think the colon's gone now. And that, should there be like more there? I just confused me because there's not like a list after that, if that makes sense. I might just be reading it wrong.
No, you're absolutely correct. So the way the supervisor had formatted it is in his memorandum didn't even have the G there. So once that amendment gets added, it would just be crossing out G from that list of things, but I will absolutely add the rest of them there just for clarity's sake. Thank you for catching that.
Okay. I'm going to yield the chair to Pro Tem Hamid.
Are there any other questions? These are Capitos. Okay, are there any other questions? Vice Chair Smith.
Sorry. This is a pretty general question, but like, did you make these changes, or I guess like the election commission felt these changes should be made because they saw like a need for it? Like, has this been a problem in the past?
I think I can answer your question better if you specify what specific changes you're referring to.
I think just the structure of the hearings in general.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of concern regarding the animosity from prior hearings, not from this year because there weren't any violation hearings, but in last session, there was a lot of concern from the election commission about how safe they felt to rule effectively and in a fair and like equal way. And so the move away from the judicial hearing structure to a more from a judicial courtroom structure to a more fact-finding hearing structure was absolutely from them.
Senator Escobar, I saw your hand up.
For 608.2, this might just be like a formatting thing, but will the B be turned into an A? I was trying to change it, but I couldn't.
In 608.20, it should become an A, and I tried to do the same thing, but I wasn't able to as well.
Any other questions? These are Capinos.
Move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. Is there a second? Okay. We're now in a period of debate. I saw Chair Varela first.
Motion to see my amendments to 608.23, 8, and then the same thing for 7, or those two sections. My two amendments as a block.
It's in 608.23, 7, and 8. Okay, there's been a motion to see Chair Varela's amendment. You'll have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, what this amendment does is it kind of changes the way the cross-examination works. Just for context, technically cross-examination is not required in the proceedings because these are not criminal trials, so they're not guaranteed as like a constitutional right. But I still think they're important to have. But I still think there is a little bit of an issue with having the accused and the filer confront each other directly. I think that can lead versions of intimidation, not feeling comfortable with answering questions, hostile questions being asked, stuff like that. So I wanted to mimic what I'm pretty sure academic misconduct boards use, which I think is the closest parallel to a hearing like this. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my limited research, I think that how they handle cross-examination for something like that, if someone is claiming academic misconduct, is the accused and the filer submits their questions beforehand to ask, to do like press on things that they think is needed to be pressed on without the direct confrontation during the hearing. I think that'll help, one, remove a lot of the intimidation that could happen, remove a lot of the animosity that could happen, while also giving the relevant parties a chance to poke holes or try to defend themselves by revealing some sort of logical inconsistency with what's being said. So I think it's a great best of both worlds and preserves both the integrity of the hearing and the safety of its participants.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on these set of amendments? Chair Lipner?
2, if I may.
You may.
First, I just want to confirm that you were aware that the questions were being directed to the commission and not to the other individual in the hearing.
So I might have misread the statute, but is the statute not allowing for cross-examination of the witnesses?
Can I answer that?
You may.
No, it's cross-examination. So it allows the other individual who is not being questioned or is not being heard, or their witnesses are not being heard at the time, to ask questions to the election commission for any kind of clarifying points, or as determined and modified and moderated by the election commission. So it's purely just to ask limited relevant follow-up questions and not necessarily a full cross-examination period.
Okay, I see. My bad. I'll withdraw my amendments then.
All right, we will see that. I now yield the chair back to Senate President Quartz.
Hello, I'm back. We're still in a period of debate. These are Capinos.
Motion to see my amendment in 608.4. 1.
Okay, there's been a motion to see D.C. Capinos amendment. Is there a second? And a second. Any objections? Hearing none. You have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
It just adds more language into the threatening, harassing, engaging in violent conduct against any candidate, election commissioner, attorney general, student government advisor, just to add the student government agent. So anyone who's an agent or is affiliated with student government, that also gets a protection under this.
Okay,
I yield the rest of my time.
perfect. We are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this amendment? Chair Gaudio.
Why do you believe that this protection should, with regards to election violations, that this should be extended to all student government agents, including those who will be entirely uninvolved with the election process?
Because when I think of violations shall be threatening or acting violently against any member of a campaign ticket, I think that it should also be included with all the people that it might involve in the future too. So let's say that they're not directly involved in the process of the campaigning. Let's say that that person got to a position where they were on the ballot and that they could be the next student body president or vice president. Now they're interacting with everyone within student government. So I think that the threatening, harassing, engaging in violent conduct against any candidate, election commissioner, along with student government agents should be included into that language, because depending on how far they go into this process, it can affect the rest of the branches.
All right, are there any other questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Lipner, Senator Hopgood.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Although I think we could just simplify it and say all individuals, because we don't want any candidate to be threatening, harassing, or engaging anyone. But I mean, I'm for this.
Okay, Senator Hopgood.
Yeah, definitely for this too. I will say already in the statutes, you're not allowed to like break the UCF golden rule, which I think includes what a Title IV violation is. So.
Any others wishing to speak in debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on this amendment. With a vote count of 24 to 1, this amendment passes. We're still in debate on the bill as a whole. Chair Gaudio.
I would like to move to see my amendments to 608.23 A and G.
23A and G. Okay, there's been a motion to see Chair Gaudio's amendments in 608.23A and G as a block. Is there a second? Any objections? Hearing none, you have 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
So the current way this is worded is a little wonky, because it's a witness may decline to answer questions posed by another party if the response may reasonably lead to another violation, or if otherwise permitted by the Election Commission. If it would reasonably bring forward another violation, then you would have to say my response to that would potentially lead to another violation, which now brings the answer forward of, well, what would the response be? And so in of itself, invoking that could theoretically be used as self-incrimination. So if the point is a sort of protection against self-incrimination, as well as to help the Election Commission fact-find during a hearing, I think the most straightforward solution is to just say, like, the Election Commission, they can still permit you not to respond to a question for whatever reason, like maybe the answer wouldn't be safe, but a response that you give can't be used as evidence or testimony in a future violation hearing. So you can get that response without having to worry about this may be used against me in the future.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on these amendments? Chair Sherman.
Would you be amenable to an amendment to the amendment that is only a refusal to answer would not be used as evidence? Because traditionally, any question answered, you could use that. But I think the more relevant part is if you refused it, like the fact of the refusal couldn't be used as evidence.
Yeah, I mean, anything that really kind of upholds that intent, really, in a way that's more reasonable than this.
I think I will say for record-keeping purposes, let's just see this one, and then we can see the changes. Chair Lipner?
Motion to approve this amendment by general consent.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections?
I object.
Okay, do you
I'll
withdraw?
withdraw.
Okay. We're still in a period of debate. Chair Rilla. Yeah.
If this amendment passes, would then it shield somebody who says something obscene or disrespectful during questioning as an answer from further consequences as a result of that answer?
Per the specific wording, it likely would not be permitted. So if we wish to adjust that, we can.
Okay, we're still in period of questioning. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we're now in period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Lipner.
Yeah, I do just want to note that at least the way I read the original wording, it would still hold true to that. Whereas anything that was done in the Election Commission hearing that was not necessarily related to this specific violation would not be able to be used in future violation hearings. To me, this matches existing procedures for double jeopardy as we use throughout the United States and abroad, but I'm open to your opinions as well.
All right. Any other pieces of debate? Chair Rolla?
Yeah, so I think to properly capture the intention of what this amendment is trying to do, I think what Chair Sherman recommended should be adopted. At some point, whether we approve it or deny this amendment, it should be that the refusal to answer is not going to be used as evidence. Because if you answer something in a really rude, disrespectful way, you should be able to be charged for if you say something obscene. I don't think you should be shielded from that response. So yeah, I think it needs to be changed either way.
Okay. Any others wishing to speak in debate? Seeing none, we are now on voting procedures on this amendment. All right, with a vote count of 23 to 5 to 0, this amendment passes. We're still in a period of debate on the bill as a whole. Chair Rose.
Motion to see my amendments as a block.
And where are those at?
608.23 and yeah, actually just in 608.23 and under A and G. Yeah.
Okay, there's been a motion to see Chair Rose's amendments in 608.23A and G. And a second. Any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
It's kind of just formatting, trying to make the wording and ordering of things consistent between A and G, since it should be the same. I yield.
We're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on these amendments? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on these amendments? Chair Lipner.
May I retain?
You may.
Yeah, just thank you for catching this. I'm very much so in favor.
Okay.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to move to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 23 to 5 to 0, these blocks of amendments have passed. Chair Rolla.
Motion to see my amendment on 608.23(4).
There's been a motion to see Chair Rolla's amendment on 608.23A4. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, this just puts into practice exactly what me and Chair Sherman just said. It actually mirrors the Fifth Amendment right, and also doesn't shield somebody if they say something obscene during question.
Okay, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions, Chair Lipner?
Do you have any concerns that this could lead to the Election Commission not permitting a party to decline to answer a question in order to hear their testimony?
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, so currently the way the statute is written, the Election Commission can choose whether or not to permit a party to decline answering a question. I'm worried that if only the refusal to respond and not necessarily the response itself can't be used in a future violation hearing, then that would be a problem, and the Election Commission could then theoretically just choose to not allow them to say no and force them to answer the question. Do you see that as being an issue?
Not really, because no one can be forced to compel against themselves any. I'm not sure how the EC would force them to say. They could just say, I'm not going to speak. I don't know what sort of methods they would employ to force people to speak, but I imagine they would be gruesome and that's probably illegal.
All right, any other questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Chair Gaudio.
I would like to introduce an amendment to Chair Varela's amendment.
Yes.
The concern was with friendlies. You can amend amendments.
Where is this amendment to your amendment?
The amendment would reintroduce the original wording of if the response may reasonably lead to a violation or if otherwise. Oh, I only put it in A. I'll put it in.
I am going to see that as a separate amendment.
Yeah, it's an amendment to amendment.
I'm going to see it separately then from this amendment being voted on. We're still in debate, correct? On this amendment? Chair Sherman?
Can I motion for my amendment to section G, which is just the same change in the corresponding section to be seen as a block?
Yeah, that'll be seen as a block.
I raise a point of order. These motions being made are not dilatory, and under Robert's rules, an amendment to an amendment is permissible, and you do not have the grounds to just unilaterally deny that motion.
Advisor Sampson?
Okay, if it's an amendment to an amendment, then it has to be on the exact phrase that's being amended. It cannot be another line because at that point, that's a whole separate part of the phrase and therefore a whole separate amendment. If we would like to not be seeing these amendments and then vote to see them as a block, that is totally possible. But if you are amending the phrase, like the amendment, that means the phrase that is being amended, right? But if it's a whole separate line, that's a separate amendment and you can motion to see those as a block.
We are still in a period of debate. Are there any other pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures for Chair Varela and Chair. Okay. Perfect. Chair Varela and Chair Sherman's amendments. With a vote count of 23 to 5 to 0, these amendments pass. We're still in a period of debate on the bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Lipner.
Motion to see my and Chair Sherman's and Chair Gaudio's amendments in 608.23A4 and G for, G5 as a block.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner, Chair Sherman's, and Chair Gaudio's amendments in 608.234 and G5. Is that correct?
Sorry, to clarify, it's A5 and G5. It's just misnumbered on the page.
One more time.
608.235, but it's numbered as 4. So which starts out with the witnesses shall respond to, and then the same exact clause in G, which would be also 5, but is numbered as 4.
Okay, there's been a motion to see Chair Sherman, Chair Lipner's, and Chair Gaudio's amendments to 608.23A5 and 608.23G5 as a block. Is there a second? In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
So this is simply adding back in that if the response may reasonably lead to phrasing in both areas. And I'm realizing now that I did not have to add Sherman's because it was added to the last block incorrectly, but regardless, I yield.
We're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this block of amendments? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this block of amendments? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 23 to 5-0, these amendments pass. We are still in debate on the bill as a whole. Pro Tem Hamid.
Motion to see my amendment to 609.6.
There's been a motion to see Pro Tem Hamid's amendment to 609.6. Is there a second? And a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
This was just done to make it a bit less confusing to read. I yield the rest of my time.
We're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this amendment? Chair Lipner.
Motion to approve by general consent.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Any objections? Hearing none, this amendment is approved by general consent. We're still in a period of debate on the bill as a whole. Chair Lipner.
Motion to see Chair Sherman's amendment in 608.4 as a technical.
608.4.
Alongside my amendment in 608.19.
Okay, 608.4 will be seen as a technical. The subtitle will be seen as a technical. What was the other one?
608.19.
608.19.
It's just adding the wording to match the numbering.
Yes, that will be seen as a technical. Okay, we're still in a period of debate. Senator Escobar.
Motion to see the technical amendments also in 608.21, the G, and then the 608.23A6, the capitalization in the.
The first one will be seen as a technical. Where is the second one located?
The second one is 608.23A6. It's the T in the.
Okay, yes, that will also be seen as a technical. Any other pieces of debate on this bill? I do still see amendments from Gaudio, Rose, Lipner. Chair Lipner.
Motion to see my and Chair Rose's amendments as a block.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner and Chair Rose's amendments as a block.
I object. Mine were already approved.
Okay, perfect.
I'll just see mine, and I guess I'll see Chair Gaudio's as well as a block.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner and Chair Gaudio's amendments as a block. Is there a second? And a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, this will be the last amendment for me. So in 608.4, this is Gaudio changing it to read any UCF student, faculty, or staff, because we don't want people threatening anyone, even though that is considered part of the golden rule. It's better to just state it outright. Next, looking at 608.20B, this is changing from 5 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. because we wanted to make sure that students had that enough time to truly get all of their evidence in, especially the person who's being accused, because they have less time to gather evidence in the first place. Looking next at 608.23, I believe this was already accepted, but Gaudio added the if the response may reasonably lead to a violation or if otherwise permitted by the Election Commission. That makes sense to me. I think we've discussed that enough. Next in 7, I've added to the commission to be more clear, because it's important to ensure that they understand where the evidence is going. Next up in 608.23G, 5, which I think is actually 6, but adding back in that if the response may be reasonably lead to a violation again, to make sure that it matches on both areas, and then finally adding that to the commission again in that final area. And that's the last amendment. Any questions?
Okay, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this block of amendments? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Senator Hopgood. Oh, yeah, sorry, you can direct a question.
Sorry, I know I'm just drawing out this process, but the amendment that says still about the responses for the cross-examination piece, the response may reasonably lead to a violation. Shouldn't it say like to another violation? Because isn't the whole point of asking them questions to see if they actually committed a violation?
Yes, you are absolutely correct.
Okay, are there any other pieces of debate? Seeing none. Oh, Chair Lipner.
I'm going to motion to amend my amendment to add the another wording.
Okay, there's been a motion to amend Chair Lipner's amendment. Is there a second? In a second, any objections? Hearing none. Okay, we're still in debate on the amendment. Are there any other pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on this amendment. Okay, with a vote of 26 to 1 to 0, this block of amendment passes. We're still in debate on the internal bill as a whole, and it looks like all of the amendments are done off of the page. Never mind. No, those were in the block as well. Okay. We're still in debate. Are there any other pieces of debate on this bill? Seeing none and seeing no other amendments, we are now in voting procedures on Internal Bill 5742. With a vote count of 27 to 0, Internal Bill 5742 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5743, updates to Title VI, Subtitle D. The 2 minutes of reading time again?
Yes, please.
Okay, there's been a motion for 2 minutes of reading time. Is there a second? And a second, any objections? Hearing none, you now have 2 minutes. Okay, the 2 minutes of reading time has elapsed. You have 5 minutes whenever you're ready, Chair Lipner.
All right, I'm going to work myself down the page, and I hope you guys can follow along. First and foremost, in 612.1, we are moving back to even numbered and odd numbered. So at some point, they both were listed as odd. That's not the case. We're going back to the status quo, and then also updating the example years to be 2026 and 2027 as opposed to 2016 and 2017, because that was 10 years ago, guys. Kind of crazy. Next, in 612.2, we are changing how the supervisor of elections has to appear to Senate as opposed to being only once per session and then twice following the election period. We're now requiring them to do it weekly, both for the fall and spring semesters, not for the summer, because the election commission isn't active for the full summer and they aren't really having much to report on. And then also specifying the process by which someone else can take their place in the absence of the supervisor. We are also removing the failure to appear requirement because of the expansion of how often they are required to appear. Next up, we are removing the requirement to attend all Senate designated committee meetings, because as a supervisor, they don't necessarily have to. We have a representative for that purpose, so we don't necessarily need the supervisor there at every single meeting. Just shall attend or Senate designated to at least two Senate designated committees immediately following the completion of the election commission, and also one Senate designated committee within the first 2 weeks of the fall, spring, and summer semesters. So at least we're seeing them once or twice, but not necessarily as often as we have to, or was originally written in. Next, in 612.3, this is changing from powers to responsibilities, and the way it is currently written would expand the process by which the assistant supervisor of elections will immediately assume office in the absence of the current supervisor. However, I have some amendments there to revert that back to the existing process, so bear with me on those. Next, 612.4, changing from duties to add responsibilities. This is something that is kind of being done across the board by suggestions from both Shane, Ashley, and other individuals, because we have responsibilities, not powers. I think that's an important distinction. Looking next at the fact that now polling places will have to be with the approval of university administration. That's important, I believe. Additionally, we're adding that they shall not only procure and compile, but also distribute those reports. It's important. The amendment currently is removing a strike through and a provision, but the way it was written in the bill that we're seeing currently is that I was moving it from being written within D to be a part of A. However, due to conversations with Ashley, we just determined that a single subgrouping underneath an existing numbering or lettering wasn't necessary and only adds more clutter, so we removed that. Additionally, we are noting the date as opposed to certifying, because you can't really certify that date. Next, the big change that we're making here to the main campus election commission office location. Originally, the supervisor wanted to remove everyone from Senate altogether, including the Senate president, Senate pro tempore, and approval of the Senate. However, we as an election appointments committee decided to retain the Senate president's say in that discussion, and then also add in the Chief Justice, because we want to make sure that all parts of the student government office are included in those conversations. Next, we're changing the wording from written notice to memorandum to match other areas where we want more official notices to be published as opposed to just being written and sent out via email. Additionally, we are removing the requirement for the additional declaration of candidacy period voting, because currently I believe it's still in our statutes despite us passing a bill. I'm uncertain on that progress, but I was told by our advisor to just leave it in there. Additionally, we're trying to remove the requirement for the Attorney General to be present at all of these meetings. I think it's important that they are aware that they occurred, but not necessarily be there every single time. So we're moving that so that way they have more flexibility in scheduling. Next, Title VI will no longer be sent to media outlets automatically. It'll only be upon request. So that way it's a little bit less daunting for the supervisor to handle that sending out. So they don't have to hunt down every single campus media outlet, because it's outlets, it's not just the one. And so it's difficult to determine what is primary and not. So upon request makes that more easy. Next, if permitted by university building managers or liaisons, that's kind of how things work on the university in general, making sure that that's within our statutes, makes sure that students aren't putting posters up incorrectly. In O, we are adding the presidential debate after the declaration of candidacy period as a requirement for it to be hosted every single year, as opposed to just being a nice to have. So that way next year we can guarantee to have a presidential debate between all the candidates and hear their sides. We are also removing the specification that the supervisor has to determine when and where by the end of class hours, which is something that is not used anywhere else in our statutes. Additionally, we are moving something from somewhere else to now be under here, so that way they still have to adhere to all rules outlined in the election rules and procedure. It's just now under their responsibilities and not elsewhere in the statutes. And then finally, we are adding the shall complete any duties and responsibilities necessary to carry out the election commission's responsibilities as provided in this title and the election rules and procedure. Originally, this was stated as deemed appropriate by the supervisor of elections, but we are removing that because we believe it is an overreach of the supervisor's powers or responsibilities. Next, moving into the duties of the student government advisor, we are moving the requirement for the student government advisor to post all the names to the website because that is someone else's responsibility currently within statutes. It's no longer theirs, so the student government advisor shouldn't have to do that. And then additionally, we are ensuring that there are 2 academic days of wiggle room for any candidates who were not qualified to clear up those questions. This is something we are already doing in practice. It's just ensuring that those 2 days are preserved in perpetuity. Additionally, we're assigning candidates to their respective colleges based off of requirements laid out in 602.2, which is their primary major. And then additionally, verify that the names of those candidates are submitted in their candidacy materials. These are all things that the student government advisor already does, just making sure that those are enumerated and listed out. And then finally, 612.7 was a 1-line statute, which we're trying to remove. So I moved the adhere all rules of the election rules procedure to the above line that was in the responsibilities. And now 612.7 will just read, the election rules of procedure shall be amended by a majority vote of the election commission and approved by the Senate designating committee by majority vote. So no changes there, just making it more succinct and clear. I yield.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Verla.
Motion to see my amendment on 612.4P.
There's been a motion to see Chair Verla's amendment to 612.4P. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have a minute whenever you're ready.
Yeah, quick and easy. This just makes sure that the election commission is clear that they're expected to do outreach on other campuses, because that unfortunately did not happen this year, and that fell to ICTC, and we did our best, but we are extremely limited what we're allowed to do because we're senators, not commissioners. So I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. That there's expectation of outreach, so they can effectively plan throughout the year instead of being sprung in it last second. This year, where they didn't have capacity by the time I asked them to. So yeah, it's pretty simple. That's it.
All right, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Lipner.
I'm very much so in favor. I'm just a little concerned about the terminology of substantial. Do you also share concerns about how that we would be able to determine what is or is not substantial outreach?
I think that the reason the word substantial is there is to make sure there's more than just a single tabling session at one campus throughout the whole period. I think that obviously substantial is a subjective term, but I think that if there's ever an issue, I trust that senators are well versed enough in logic and these kind of things to be able to determine if something's substantial or not. But that's just to encourage more participation, more outreach than less.
All right, we're still in a period of questioning. Are there any other questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Senator Smith.
This is really great. I didn't even think about this as being an issue until I went into ICTC. So yeah, with that, move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on this amendment. With a vote count of 27 to 0, this amendment passes. We're still in debate on this bill as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Lipner.
Motion to see my and Vice Chair Matthews amendments as a block.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner and Vice Chair Matthews amendments as a block. Are you speaking of all of the amendments on that you both have on the page?
Yes.
Okay. And there's been a second. Any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Alrighty, I'll make it fast. So in 612.2E, this is specifying for the fall and spring semesters as opposed to every single regularly scheduled Senate meeting. This came as a result of our meeting with SG advisor. I'm blanking on Ashley's last name. I'm so sorry. But essentially just wanting to make sure that they don't have to come for this summer semester where they may not be a supervisor and therefore not have anything to report. So that's important to us because we don't want them to potentially get non-compliance for that. Additionally, shall attend or send a designee to Senate designated committee meetings. We don't need to have additional there because it's just a separate thing. And then also the designee ensures that they don't get non-compliance once again if they just simply cannot go due to any kind of extenuating circumstances. Next, looking at 612.3D, this is reverting to our existing language where originally the top part was struck through and we had rewritten everything below. We are reverting back to how it was currently written because we don't want the supervisor of elections to potentially become the actual supervisor. It should be assuming the role, not necessarily assuming the office. And I think that that blurs the line in 612.3D3. So that is why we're removing those. Next at 612.4 in the duties and responsibilities, we're adding back in this list of where specifically those that list goes just for readability purposes, because there was some concern about frame seeing a colon but not a list, and then believing that list would be removed. So making sure that the list is there, kind of matching what was mentioned by Hapgood in our previous bills. Next, we are once again reverting back to existing language for D, where everything will be grouped into one single subtitle, not a subtitle, it's a sublisting, because having a single number like as just A without a B doesn't make sense. So we're just leave it as it being together. Next, we are removing the shall remain fully available to carry out all duties and responsibilities assigned to them during the election period. This was a change that was suggested by the supervisor, but after discussion with Ashley, our committee, and everyone else, we just believe that the current wording of 10 minimum hours is fair and didn't want them to have to be fully available, which could lead to them necessarily skipping class or having to give up on any other expectancies in other areas of their life. Additionally, we're adding the Chief Justice to that list of individuals who are included in the Election Commission office discussion because they have an office, they exist in SG, they should have a say, they should be part of that discussion. And in W of that same listing, we are removing the as deemed appropriate. I already talked about that. I'm looping it back around, aren't I? No, I'm not. Anywho, that's everything. Pardon, and I yield.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning on these amendments. Are there any questions on the amendments? Seeing none, we're now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on these amendments? Senator Hapgood.
These all look very well founded and thought out. Move to.
There's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures on these amendments. With a vote count of 27 to 0, this block of amendments pass. I will also see the change to the subtitle at the top as a technical. We're still in a period of debate on this bill. Are there any other pieces of debate? I will give a second for them to approve these amendments. Okay, seeing no other pieces of debate, we are now in voting procedures on this bill. All right, with a vote count of 27 to 0, Internal Bill 5743 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5744, updates to Title 8 Fiscal Committee appointments. Vice Chair Casimiro, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll keep it short. Prior to the 56th Senate session, senators were elected to serve on CRT and FA committees. This session, we made it so that we're just doing it by appointments, similar to other committees. So this bill just removes upon being elected and changing that to just the CRT committee shall meet as many times as deemed necessary and FAO from the statutes. I yield the rest of my time.
We are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? Seeing, Senator Smith?
Move to vote.
We can't move to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I meant move to debate.
There's been a motion to move to debate. In a second, any objections? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. I will see Chair Gaudio's amendment as a technical. Are there any pieces of debate on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of voting. With a vote count of 25 to 0, Internal Bill 5744 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5745, updates to Title 14 caucus attendance. Vice Chair Smith, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi everyone. As Vice Chair of the Women's Caucus and part of the Caucus Leadership Committee, I've seen how caucus leadership has functioned this semester. While many things have worked well, attendance at caucus leadership meetings has been difficult. Getting rid of the 24-hour written notice would encourage more participation in the committee and put it in line with the absence policies that Senate committees and SG caucuses already follow. And with that, I yield the rest of my time for questions.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this bill? D. Pinos?
I just was wondering if you had any personal experience with seeing this not being followed, of there are people not being able to attend and then also still not being able to write 24 hours in advance to showing up to the meeting.
Yeah, I definitely have.
Okay, any other questions on this bill? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Lipner?
Yeah, as Caucus Leadership Committee Chair, I'd like to kind of just give you guys a little bit of insight on what happens on my side. I almost never get info in writing that people won't be there 24 hours in advance. Anytime that I put someone being absent and not excused from the meeting, it's because they did not send me any info ahead of time. Even if it's just like 20 minutes ahead of time, I'll accept it. I'll take it. Just tell me. There was a lot of times where people just no call, no show, and that felt really bad. But there's no real way for me to hold people accountable without like non-compliancing and censoring, and that kind of stuff feels very inflammatory for what this is. So I'm in favor of this bill. However, I would like to see some kind of fix to ensure that people who are not showing up, or caucuses who are not showing up, now that we have that change to be purely one vote per caucus as opposed to vice chairs, be held accountable in some kind of way.
Chair Gaudio?
I would pull up the statutes in Title IX, but it does not appear to be in the drive right now, so I'm going off of memory. The chair of the Caucus Leadership Committee cannot issue a non-compliance anyway, so I have no idea how such a requirement is to be enforced.
All right, we're still in debate on this bill. Any other pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in a period of voting on Internal Bill 5745. With a vote count of 25 to 1, Internal Bill 5745 passes second reading. Next, we have Internal Bill 5746, updates to Title 14 APIA caucus name change. Chair Lipner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
So all of you may already know the Asian and Pacific Islander Caucus as the APIA Caucus. Within our own Senate rules, it's written as the APIA Caucus for our agendas. This bill would simply just add that name of APIA to our statutes to match that altogether. I'll yield.
We're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this internal bill? Seeing none, we're now in a period of debate. Chair Gaudio.
Madam Chair, seeing as the caucus in question approves of this, I would like to move that this bill just be passed by the consent of the body.
There's been a motion.
I
to
object.
Do you withdraw?
It's general consent. There's not general consent.
For real. We're still in a period of debate. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Pro Tem Hamid.
Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 27 to 0, Internal Bill 5746 passes second reading. Next, we have Resolution 5722, updates to Senate Rule 5, legislation submission deadline. D-Leg Kaufman, Pro Tem Hamid, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, so this is just updating Senate Rule 5 because in one part of the statute, it says that legislation is due at 5. This part says it's due at midnight. That's not right. And we've kind of just had the precedent that it's always been due at 5. So this is just updating it to be in line with current practice and what other parts of our statute say. I yield the rest of my time.
We are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Chair Lipner,
May I direct a question to Pro Tem Hamid?
you may.
Can you clarify what the distinction between midnight and 5 p.m., like what does that do to the timeline of forming agendas and stuff? Because to my eye, 5 p.m. feels like end of day. So, yeah.
So after a bill is submitted to the Pro Temp's office, the D-Leg, I guess this is what is happens this semester or this session. So it's been different in the past because D-Leg Kaufman is able to actually edit the forms. He turns them into the editable version that we have in all of our agendas. So let's say that like what happened last week happens where we get like 14 pieces of legislation. All of them are submitted at 5 p.m. That gives us enough time as the Pro Temp's office to convert all those things, then give it to, the advisor. Let's say that it goes back to how it's usually been, where the advisor also has to be sent it before it's put onto the agenda. That gives them time to look at it, and also then time for us to actually make the agenda and post it the next day. So doing it at midnight would just make it kind of unreasonable to do all those things and then have the agenda posted in a timely manner. We usually like to post it on like Wednesdays now. So having it due at 5 just makes it more efficient, I guess, and also not as crunch time for us.
Okay, we're still in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this resolution? Seeing Chair Lipner,
One more question, if I may.
you may.
So to clarify, the D-Leg or you are clocking in past working hours to complete the agenda?
So as of right now, no, because we usually finish before 5.
Okay, we're still in a period of debate on this resolution. Are there any pieces of debate? Seeing none, we're now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 25 to 0, Internal Bill 57, that's not Internal Bill 5747. Did you guys just keep the same title? Yeah. Okay. With the vote count of 25 to 0 to 1, Resolution 5723-22 passes second reading. Next, we have Resolution 5723, updates to Senate Rule 5 Caucus Leadership Committee reports. Vice Chair Perez, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi. To keep this really simple, this just gives Caucus Leadership Committee a space on the agenda to give updates about things specific to caucus leadership, and I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this resolution? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this resolution? Senator Smith?
This is a great idea. Move to vote.
There's been a motion to vote. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 26 to 0, Resolution 5723 passes second reading. Next, we have Resolution 5724, resolution urging the University of Central Florida to be recognized as a fair trade university. Chair Lipner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Speaker. I'll start by explaining a little bit about my history with fair trade, explain what fair trade is, and then explaining what this resolution specifically is asking for the university to do. So first and foremost, I want to explain my history with fair trade. Going back to my freshman fall semester at UCF, I took a foundations course for my environmental studies major, in which I had to do a service learning component. For that service learning component, I worked with the professor of that class to table for fair trade. Fair trade is an international organization that supports conscious consumerism on a global scale. So what this means is it's a certification that ensures that a product is not produced with child labor or forced labor, upholds safer working conditions, more equitable compensation, environmental protections, and a whole host of reinvestment into developing communities around the world. This comes from a major issue that is happening with worldwide agriculture, where approximately 70% of child labor worldwide comes from agriculture. And to make matters worse, child labor and forced labor are pretty difficult to weed out from supply chains, especially in the United States, as the Department of Labor continues to document those goods, which are being produced with child labor and forced labor. Among those, the most prominent are things like coffee, chocolate, tea, in terms of agriculture, and fair trade certifies those products to be ethically sourced. So whenever you're shopping for things like coffee, tea, chocolate, bananas, textiles, honestly, anything that can be grown outside, look for a fair trade symbol. You can Google fair trade symbol and it'll come up, but that is how you can know that something is fair trade certified. So what this resolution specifically is asking for is for campus, for university administration to sign on to a fair trade resolution, much like this one that we're signing today, to ensure that in perpetuity, our campus stores are stocked with fair trade products, that we have fair trade in informational sessions happening at least twice a semester, which is handled by the coalition, which I am currently the president of, and then also offer fair trade catering options, which are currently offered through the Barney's Nitros blend, which is fair trade certified. So that is the bill, the resolution, and we've passed 2 similar resolutions in the 55th session before my time and the 56th session, which was the one that I passed. So I urge you all to read those if you're curious about those, but this is a very similar resolution, so you can read this one and get the gist. I'll yield.
We're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Senator Escobar?
Thank you for writing this resolution. I do have one question about like the formatting within the be it further resolve clauses, specifically after the third one where it says like by completing the following. Do you think it might be more like readable to have the following clauses like bullet points instead of be it further resolve clauses? Just want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I had actually formatted them to be that way in the beginning. However, in SBA, they had amended this. I was not there, so I could not speak on my behalf, but they did amend it to read as such. So that was not my original intent. I actually agree with you that it should be bulleted with how it's currently written, but I would like to hear other opinions on that as well, because I was not there for SPA.
All right, we're still in a period of questioning. Do you have clarification for that? Okay, go on.
Yeah, in committee, we just felt it was going to read a little bit more clear to separate it as be it further resolved clauses, but if we wanted to change it, that's fine.
Ely Reed,
Motion to see my amendment in the be it further resolved clause.
we are in questioning. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate? Ely Reed,
Motion to see my amendment.
you said in the be it further resolved.
Yes, it's changing the director of student union, Rick Falco, to the interim director.
Okay, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Rick Falco is no longer the director of the student union.
We're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? Chair Gaudio.
I move to approve this amendment by the consent of the body.
There's been a motion to approve this amendment by general consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, this amendment is approved. We're still in a period of debate. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Lipner.
I'd like to move to see. Oh, it's being removed. Just kidding.
Okay, Senator Chair Lush.
I move to see my amendment in the be it further resolved.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lush's amendment in the be it further resolved. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes whenever you're ready.
Gerald Hector is not the Senior Vice President for Administration and Finance, but I could not find his direct replacement, so I didn't know who to put.
Okay, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we're now in a period of debate on this amendment. Seeing no pieces of debate, we are now in voting procedures on this amendment. With a vote count of 28 to 0, this amendment passes. We're still in debate on the proclamation as a resolution as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? Chair Lipner.
Pardon, I'm just formatting, but motion to see my amendment in the be it further resolved clause.
There's been a motion to see Chair Lipner's amendment in the be it further resolved clause. In a second, any objections? Hearing none, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, it seems like the university org chart is still outdated, but on their webpage, Jonathan P. Varnell is still listed as Vice President for Administrative Operations and Chief Infrastructure Officer. While this isn't a direct replacement for who we just removed, which is Gerald Hector, it is a very similar role and still applies today.
Okay, we're now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions on this amendment? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate on this amendment. Are there any pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures. With a vote count of 27 to 0, this amendment passes. We're still in debate on the resolution as a whole. Are there any other pieces of debate? Senator Alcuda.
Motion to see my 2 amendments in the last be it further resolved as technicals. It's just moving the comma from before to after the interim director of student union.
Yes, those will be seen as technical. Are there any pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on Resolution 5724. With a vote count of 27 to 0, Resolution 5724 passes second reading. Next, we have Proclamation 5738, recognizing the service and contributions of Ryan Shabbat and John, I don't want to butcher that, to the University of Central Florida. Chair Lipner, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you for this. And thank you all for giving me the time to talk about these two wonderful individuals. Ryan Chabot and John G were both Arboretum employees who were fired at the end of the fall semester, beginning of the spring semester, due to a number of different reasons, but they served tirelessly for this university, did countless incredible things. Both Ryan and John were students of UCF. I believe both of them got both their undergraduate and graduate degrees from UCF. And truly, the work that they did to support our natural lands and our sustainability efforts on this university campus know no bounds. And I'm still very, very shocked that they were removed from their position without warning in December 2025. And so I'd like to pass this proclamation to recognize their service and memorialize the efforts that the sacrifices that they gave to this university to support those positions. I'll yield.
All right, we are now in a period of questioning. Are there any questions? ELA Reed?
Yeah, thank you so much. Have you had the opportunity to speak to these individuals since they were removed from their positions?
Unfortunately, I haven't, but I did take the time to go over to the Arboretum and speak to the Arboretum individuals and got actually a large number of them to sponsor this legislation. If you'll see at the top of this bill, there is approximately 15 individuals who sponsored this legislation, all of which who have worked either directly with or under these two individuals and want to recognize them.
Great. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we are now in a period of debate. Are there any pieces of debate on this proclamation? Seeing none, however, I do see in the last be it further resolved, it says that a copy of this resolution be sent. Is that a mistake? And I will see that as a technical after it is fixed. Are there any pieces of debate? Seeing none, we are now in voting procedures on this proclamation. With a vote count of 26-0-1, Proclamation 5738 passes second reading. Okay, perfect. Senate Forum, anybody wishing to speak? Seeing none, Senate Deliberation. Did you have something for Senate Forum? Go on, Senator Luckey.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in Resolution 5724, there's an amendment in a comma on the last be it resolved clause that hasn't been approved.
Okay, thank you. That was one of the technicals that
Okay,
was
got it.
seen. Thank you, though. All right, anybody wishing to speak in Senate Forum? Seeing none, Senate Deliberation, none, Advisory Report. Ashley.
Happy Thursday, folks. We're having a time. Thank you so much for bearing with us for this impromptu change for tonight. I'm going to see how this looks when I pull the voting record, and then I'll claim success after that. But I do have a couple of announcements for tonight. Senate orientation begins tomorrow. So for folks that are returning, be very excited. Amanda will be there. I will be there. Maite will not, but I have a picture on her slide, but she'll be with us on Saturday. I did send out a form for folks to fill out before the day, and the majority of the people that have not filled it out yet are in this body. So if you did not fill out that form, please make sure you do that. Shame on you. Otherwise, just so you all know, and I've been saying this to leadership, all the computers in the shared spaces are going to be replaced tomorrow at 8:45 a.m. So hopefully we've gotten everything we needed off of the desktops because they will be gone forever. And then since the majority of my caucus chairs are also in this body, I'm gonna just use this time to talk to y'all. Please make sure you fill out the Qualtrics form that's for the assessment. I know that was in the last caucus chair, the leadership meeting. I saw it was in the agenda for that. And I think I also sent out an email. I know we are capping out and y'all are getting increasingly busy with the end of the semester. So please, please, please make sure to fill that out. Other than that, we're in full prep time. We are very busy. So bear with me if I'm forgetting stuff as always. And with that, we go into National Day of. But before we do our drum roll for today, as per the suggestion, I wrote down some highlights from the week. And so on the 16th, it was National Anime Day and Banana Day. I'm sorry, that was the 15th. And then we had Moment of Laughter Day on the 14th. On the 13th, it was International Play Appreciation Day and Scrabble Day. If any of you play Scrabble, I know we are board game people in this body. And then tomorrow, since I won't see many of you, it will be National High Five Day. And so for tonight, drum roll please, it's National Pizza Cake Day. So very food focused, as you can tell, but that's what I got. But that's all for me for tonight.
Okay, perfect. Any questions for Ashley? Vice Chair Casimiro?
Was the form like the public contact form that you wanted us to fill out? Is that it?
Probably.
Okay.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Chair Lipner?
What's a pizza cake?
It is truly think really deep dish. Like it literally looks like a cake, but it is basically a pizza.
Alrighty. Great news. Miscellaneous business, Senator shoutouts. Yelly Reed.
Hey Abby, are we gonna keep playing ag tag or are we gonna holler at your boy? No, let them laugh. It's been a long night. Lipner.
Okay, so first off, I have to shout out myself. I was just at the National Conference for Undergraduate Research 2 days ago. Oh my God, it's been a crazy week. And then on Saturday, I'll be leaving to go to Rhodes, Greece for the International Sustainability Conference for Economic, Social, Cultural, and Environmental Sustainability. So very excited to go there and do that. Thank you to CRT for the funding. Additionally, very thankful shout outs to all of my vice chairs, Sherman, Matthews, Perez. Truly could not be here without any of you. I probably would not be standing on my 2 feet, much less being sitting here talking and debating on these bills. Shout out to everyone who truly read through all of that legislation that I passed. It was a lot. We had a really great debate, and I truly want to thank each and every one of you for keeping your eyes open, ears on, and mouths ready to talk. It was truly some of the best debate I've seen throughout this session. So it really made me feel like we were hitting our stride, despite it being at the very end of this session. Additionally, just want to give a quick shout out to everyone in ENA, Best Committee. I hope you guys enjoyed what I tried to do with it in terms of getting us back on track. But yeah, and then final shout outs to Speaker Courts, Pro Tem Hamid, Assistant Supervisor Sampson, Maite. Truly couldn't be here without any of you as well. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Senator Matthews?
Okay, I have to shout out Kirsten so she would call me, but shout out Kirsten for playing rock, paper, scissors, shoot with me. And then shout out Chair Lipner for all his hard work on the ENA bills. Thank you guys all for reading them. I know it was a lot. There's a lot of colors on there, but thank you everyone for reading them. We appreciate it.
Vice Chair Casimiro?
Shout out ORS. We were cut short of one meeting, unfortunately. Are we gonna meet tomorrow, Sammy?
No.
Oh wait, no, sorry. Next week, probably. But shout out Kirsten. I was seeing your face and you were going through it.
Thanks, Gabe.
Shout out FAO and CRT, my fiscal people. I know I'm not in any internal. I'm so sorry. But I love fiscal. But yeah, shout out to everyone.
Milo, and then Veronica.
Shout out to Anna, really laughing today. She even had to exit the chamber for a little bit. Shout out Jason. He informed me he also had to leave to cough, but he's back now. Shout out Veronica. She's been giving me the side eye this meeting. I don't know what's going on. Shout out Olivia, and her microphone is really creaky. Sorry. Shout out Owen in his suit. Also shout out Abby. She's also been looking this way.
Okay, I'm gonna cut.
That's it.
Veronica.
Shout out Jason for seeing and hearing me.
Zach.
Rickett for having an always dependable back of his head. I miss it right now. Where's Senator Danae Smith? Where is she? Her for being a good resume checker. And Ashley for being a good fact checker. And my good friend Bobby Escobar.
D-Sir Capinos, and then that'll be all.
Shout out Pritam's office. I hope Ryan's doing well, and I know he wishes he could be with us. Shout out all the people that are sitting in the chairs over there. Thank you for staying through the whole meeting. I know there was more of a longer one, so I'm glad that you stayed with us. Shout out Amanda. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's good to see your face in the chamber. Also, shout out our voting system. Hopefully it will come back. You never know how much you miss it until you don't have it anymore. Shout out all the fiscal guys, shout out the new senators, and shout out Senate leadership for an amazing last Senate exec meeting.
Okay, so shout out Anna. So sorry. That was really funny though. I'm so sorry. Shout out all of you. I do know that I was extremely frustrated, but you guys still make me laugh, and I love that. So thank you. Shout out Jason, because me and Jason were up here creating an entire Excel document just in case we had to do roll call voting so we could keep up with the votes. So shout out to him for that, because we decided to use Zoom after I came up here and he was like, oh, I finished it. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And also shout out to all of you for a great year, and shout out to all of you for filling out the forms. Right? Okay, that's it. Let me tap a tap. Can you guys see me and hear me? Can you guys see me? Guys, I was plotting on doing that since Senate deliberations. Okay. Oh, okay. So we actually ran out of animals, guys. We went through everyone who submitted them. So yay. But okay, so I have a panda that I saw at the San Diego Zoo in California. She is iconic. She's from China. Shout out her. I forgot her name, so sorry. But I have some facts about pandas. You guys are interested, but I took these photos on my phone. And so they're really good. So you should enjoy them. They eat 50 pounds of bamboo daily, a lot of bamboo, and they spend 12 to 16 hours eating because they gotta eat 50 pounds of bamboo. That's all from me. Alrighty, Senator Hopgood.
I'm sorry. Can I email you a submission for next week? I didn't know that you could do that.
The submissions are closed. I'm so sorry. I have plans for next week. I'm so sorry. Hey, we'll be here next session. That is true. Casimiro?
Motion to adjourn pending final roll call.
There's been a motion to adjourn this meeting pending final roll call. And a second. Any objections? Hearing none. Chair Gaudio.
Paul. Hang on. Zoom pop up. Reed.
Present.
Olivia Smith.
Present.
Higginbotham.
Present.
Casimiro.
Present.
Callis. Cabanos.
Present.
Sadvika. Jane.
Present.
Sherman.
Present.
Danae Smith. Ali. Benedehi.
Present.
Hamid.
Present.
Kaufman. Licht.
Present.
Gentile.
Present.
Rose.
Present.
El Haq. Fawcett. Brigitte. Phillips. Escobar.
Present.
Magadia.
Present.
Rodriguez. Wanjan. Hazanin.
Present.
Wynn.
Present.
Habgood.
Present.
Bonaventure. Perez.
Present.
Alcuda.
Present.
Panache. Candeloro.
Present.
Courts.
Present.
Jones.
Present.
Nairn. Matthews.
Present.
McGray.
Present.
Mr. Medebra. Brenda. Neighbor Gonzalez. Simmons.
Present.
Shadrasku.
Present.
Varela.
Present. Present.
Zivant. Lipner.
Present.
33 out of 49.
Okay, I hereby adjourn this meeting at 10:09 p.m. Get home safe.
I mean, that's good. No, I meant like that's what you think. Oh,
I'm so excited. I'm tired, but you know, I think